For anyone that's been around for any period of time on this channel, you'll know that the audio's never quite been crispy. But with a little bit of finagling, a little bit of fidgeting, and a little bit of praying to Satan, I think I've figured it out. So what better way to test all this out than to do a visual novel? So this is Trick and Treat. I don't know what it's about, it doesn't really matter what it's about. I typed visual novel into Steam and this is what came up. So we're going to do this. Will it be good? Who knows? Hopefully the audio's good though. That's the whole point of this, is to play around with my mic and just make it nice. The sound of our steps, combined with that of the occasional nocturnal animal, is the only thing we can hear. It's terribly dark in this place. The dense vegetation makes it impossible to see the sky or light from the moon. Our flashlights are the only things that light up our way. At times like this, one begs not to run out of battery. We walk without knowing what we are really looking for, or better said, for no reason. We're just a group of boys bored with our lives, trying to create a lasting memory on this night, instead of just staying home doing nothing. Today is October 31st, All Hallows Eve, better known as Halloween. 3 young men walk through a dark, but up until now nothing special forest, me being one of them. We're doing it to prove our courage. It's too bad there isn't a girl here to see how brave we are. Seeing it like that, one could say this is a meaningless effort. For a moment I stopped to look at my watch. It's 1:49 AM. That means we've been walking aimlessly for more than 2 hours now. I'm sure that many people would find this place, a place like this, terrifying. But once you get used to it, the fear disappears, making it feel like normal. What makes us afraid of the dark is that we cannot know what it hides in it, what lurks in the shadows. But this is clearly an empty darkness. At the moment, I sigh, feeling how tired my legs are. What is the point of being here? Clearly we had already demonstrated what we wanted. It would be best to return. I should tell them. Okay, so I guess we're just going for like a walk through the bush or something? Just a couple of guys going for a walk in the woods. It's fine, it's cool. I was about to speak when suddenly the atmosphere in the forest began to become strange. I think it's meant to became strange. Suddenly a cold chill runs through my body. It was like any other chill, except it was not going away. For no reason, the air's temperature dropped from one second to another. So much so, my breath became visible, turning into mist. It doesn't end there. The air is now filled with a rotten smell, just a little short from being unbearable. Images of worms and flies soon appeared in my mind, giving me a really unpleasant feeling. We all stopped at that moment. What's happening? I asked, confused, while turning to look at my friends. By the expressions on their faces, it was easy to know that they were just as lost as I was. Okay, that's creepy as shit. It was then that we heard footsteps nearby that did not come from any of us. We all got dead quiet after that. I don't know if it was out of fear or to check if it was not a mistake, but we all stayed motionless, like statues, without making a noise. Just looking at each other's faces, wondering the same thing. What was happening? As if I could know. We heard the steps again. They clearly belonged to a human, or at least a large animal, but there is something strange about them. It sounds as if the person walked dragging one foot. Just thinking about it made me shiver. Damn! Why is this happening? It makes no sense. We should have returned home before, but now it's too late to regret it. I have the feeling that we are being stalked by someone. The strange footsteps stop, but I'm still feeling the presence nearby. I don't know where it is, but I know that it's looking at me. That cursed thing is looking at me. My heart is beating anxiously. It's almost as if my body was telling me to get out of there. but strangely my friends seemed unable to perceive it. It seems that it's gone. It must have just been an animal, said one of them, convinced that we were safe. I would like to believe that too. We had a sigh of relief, however bad luck would soon strike us again. Unexpectedly, the forest becomes darker than before, in just the blink of an eye. But that wasn't the fault of the forest, but of our flashlights, which went out. God damn it, we shouldn't have only taken the one set of batteries, okay? If we're gonna go walking, we should have brought spare batteries. It's like basic camping 101, bring spares. Of the three, only one, mine, was still working. What's going on? Did the batteries die? Asked one of them scared, while they both beat them desperately, as if that was going to revive them. I can't blame them, the idea of walking in the darkness was not pleasant for anyone. But after a few moments, we had no choice but to resign ourselves to that. Once more the sound of our footsteps is heard. But the silence is different now. We are not quiet because we have nothing to say, but because we were afraid. We continue walking despite the fear that invades us. Visibility is almost zero, but we have no choice. In theory, we were walking back looking for the exit, but I cannot remember anything of this forest. We could be walking in circles, and I would never notice it until it was too late. I hate the thought of it. I just want to get out of here. Suddenly my thoughts are silenced. We hear the footsteps of someone, or something. Once more the three of us become statues awaiting the presence to go. I hold my breath while feeling my heart beating anxiously. Damn, get away from here and leave us alone. Unexpectedly the steps are heard closer. This time they do not disappear but rather come at us. I can't stand it. Desperately I move my flashlight everywhere looking for the author of the footsteps, hoping for the light to reveal their identity and erase our fears. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing? Is that all there is around here? Just empty air? My anxiety grows with each failed attempt. I refuse to believe that it was a ghost. Suddenly, when I move my flashlight again, I see a silhouette. I could not distinguish what it was, but for a moment, the light revealed something. Quickly, I point to the same place only to discover it was gone. I held my breath anxiously. It was not an illusion. I'm sure that I saw something. It was then that I hear something nearby. Without even thinking, I aim the light towards that place. Oh, that's not a good idea. Why are we doing this, Alex? Or Axel, whatever your name is. I can't remember. I think it's Axel. Either way, he's an idiot. What I found leaves us paralyzed with the expression of disbelief on our faces. Oh, thank God it's a cat. I thought it was going to be a dead body. Oh, I really thought that was going to be a dead body. Okay, it's just a cat. Cats are fine. I can deal with a cat. It is a white cat with eyes of intense red, which stands before us. Her look is not the friendliest, to say something. However, I get the feeling it's a female cat. Oh, it's still in the thing. When cats do that, run. That is not a good sign when a cat does that. Suddenly, she lets out a thunderous meow that leaves us terrified. It sounded more like a lion roaring than a simple cat. The echoes of a meow is heard throughout the forest, making it sound more sinister than it should be. It was then that suddenly an inexplicable force hits us three. Oh, that's bright. That's really bright. I fell to the ground, and little by little my eyelids closed. The fatigue becomes unbearable. I lose consciousness on the ground of the forest without knowing what is going to happen with me. We get abducted by aliens. Interlude before night's fall. I really didn't get abducted by aliens. That'd be shitty. It was day like any other, so normal that it was almost painful. The only special thing that could be said about it is that it's October 31st. Wait, it wasn't? Maybe we're like going back in time. This is like a time travel thing where that was what happens and it's showing what led up to that. That might be it. Far were the memories when I was a kid and went out with my friends to ask for sweets from house to house. Just remembering it made me sigh. I feel nostalgic. Some things were better when I was a child, or at least seemed like that. There were some who had good costumes, whether superhero or monster. My friends and I, on the other hand, had to use our imagination. Creativity was our costume, you could say, no matter how funny it could sound. I remember that my mother once painted red my face and told me, "You'll be the devil." But it seems only she saw it that way. When we went from home to home, everyone said I was the tomato man. That's not very nice. Although I can see how they got it right. You just walking around as like a little pudgy kid with red face, you're a tomato pretty much. So I kind of get where people are going, but still. But those things didn't matter to me, since we always had a good time. If I asked for candy now, even if I had the best costume, I'm sure no one would give me anything. Except perhaps a scolding for acting like a child when I'm a 17-year-old. But anyway, I can't stay in the past. I must live in the present, no matter how little exciting that might be. Back to reality. We are a group of friends who don't have any plans for today. We're still not old enough to go to a disco, and I doubt guys as us would have any luck in that environment. The other option would be to go to a party, meet girls and have fun. Everything perfect, except that nobody has invited us. Not being popular has its disadvantages. Hey, Axel. Alright, so his name's Axel, I was right. Let's have a couple of matches. What do you say? What kind of matches? Like, are these card games? Are these does he actually just want a match to light a fire? What's going on? I'm gonna need more information. My friend Steven called my attention while playing with the game console. Okay, so he's a couple of rounds of COD or something. Russian, I believe, that's what the game is called. A fast and quite complicated fighting game for me. Okay, so it's like a Tekken clone or something. I would normally agree to play with him, but for some reason, I didn't feel in the mood today. I have no desire to play now. Wow, that's some intense word. What 17-year-old says, "I have no desire to play"? Alright, that's alright, fair enough. I replied with discouragement. I almost feel bad for doing it. Boring. The AI is no rival for me, Steven said with confidence. That you're playing on normal difficulty does not help your argument. I don't feel like losing, but if you want, you can challenge to Alfred. I don't feel like losing, but if you want, you can challenge to Alfred. Alright, that doesn't make any sense. That's a bad translation, I guess. I said, leaving the attention of my other friend. I don't know how to play that, answered Alfred, doubting for a second. He's sitting behind the PC, but it seems that he isn't doing anything interesting. The screen only shows lots of text. I think he's in Wikipedia. Hey, don't you have something more fun to do? I asked with discouragement. Without even thinking about what he was reading, Alfred looks at me surprised. The actual problem of society is that people are not interested in discovering their history. He's one of those pseudo-intellectuals, always looking for any rare information to appear smarter than others. When we forget our past mistakes, we are doomed to repeat them, he added later. What are you talking about? This village is small and its story is not interesting at all. Nothing outside of the normal has ever happened in it. See, you never say that. That means something bad's gonna happen, like someone's gonna get murdered or abducted by aliens, or the weird cat in the forest is gonna do something. You never say those words, ever. Alfred laughs mockingly after hearing that. Your ignorance is worthy of praise. He paused, filling his chest with pride. The very fact that it's a small town is the reason it's full of mysteries. Did you know that 20 years ago on this date a man disappeared? So, what about it? I asked without being impressed or even interested in the least. Things like that happen all the time in all places. As I thought, you don't know the history despite living in this very place, Alfred said while adjusting his glasses in an arrogant gesture. There is a legend behind the disappearance. That is what I was reading. After listening to him, I looked back at the computer screen with curiosity. It's then that I noticed that he is not on Wikipedia, but some other page. Come on, read this and learn a little. Alfred said, inviting us to read what was on the screen. Both Stephen and I moved closer to read it. Town of Abingdon Oxfordshire County, 1994. I came to this town with only 4,000 inhabitants to support them in an investigation. Truth is that never in my life have I seen something this strange. I won't say your typical detective-ish nonsense that I've seen thousands of strange things in my life. I've seen many crimes, yes, some difficult to solve, but all of them were human. Even if you don't know how they managed to perpetrate that crime, you know that they are people like anyone else. In this case, I don't think I'm able to say the same thing. Truth is that I can't understand what happened. Okay. Alright, apparently I didn't register the key press. Okay. I was called for the disappearance of a man named Matthew Graham, 23 years, single. The last time he was seen was returning home from a Halloween party. He had drunk alcohol but was still sober. At least that's what a witness said. Anyways, this is not something which can be explained with a simple drunkenness. He apparently got lost on the way home and decided to enter the forest called Oakwood. It had rained yesterday, so the ground was wet and muddy. He could easily find his traces. We could easily find his traces, which were leading deep inside the forest. Apparently, he walked for 3 hours before stopping. I say, stop, but the truth is we don't know what happened then. The track suddenly ended up in the clearing in the forest, and that's all. There was no evidence of struggle, no other trace, or piece of clothing on the ground. There was no blood, no more footprints, or anything else. The depths of his last footprints and the position they were in indicated that he was still walking. No point he stood still. It was as if he had vaporized in the air, with all his clothes, in the middle of his walk. Obviously I can't believe such a thing, but I can't give another explanation. The only thing I remember is that near the footprints I sensed a faint smell of rot. However, there was no animal corpse nearby. It is ridiculous to think that he suddenly started to decay and became earth. In the end, the case was closed in just 3 days. With no evidence of any kind, we couldn't say anything but that he decided to escape from the village. However, while officially there was no more to do, I couldn't sleep in peace. Thinking about what could have happened to him took away my sleep. In my mind, I thought of all sorts of theories. Like maybe everything was a plan developed by Matthew. But in the end, they all seemed impossible. I decided to investigate more on the issue. I searched the town for similar stories, and to my surprise, I found 4 more. All young men. The stories were all the same. They walked into the forest alone and disappeared without a trace. Even more curious is that all of them disappeared on the same date, October 31st. But there is more. A detail that completely eliminated the possibility that there is a killer or kidnapper behind this. And that is at the separation of the years. Roger Bacon disappeared in 1924. Mitchell Smith disappeared in 1867. Jason Black disappeared in 1813. And the worst of all, Oswald Taylor disappeared in 1707. I don't think that someone is kidnapping them unless there's some sort of weird ritual where they're staying alive, which I don't think is actually the case here. It simply couldn't be possible. My curiosity led me to dig deeper. I thought that the answers may be in the path of the forest. It was then that I discovered that what seemed to be a simple and boring forest actually hid a great story. Before it was called Oakwood or Oaks Forest, the place was called Wychwood. What? I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. Wychwood? The word Wych has a huge similarity with witch. Okay, so I was closer the first time with Wychwood. Wychwood, I guess. Taking into consideration that this is an old name and the language changed over time, that indicates that it was the forest of witches. Apparently more than 400 years ago, the people of the village believed witches lived in the forest. Unfortunately, almost all of the information is already lost. They were stories told in voice, without properly written record. I just know that with the change of religion to Christian, people stopped seeing the witches with good eyes and began to hunt them. Apparently the last one before her death cast a curse on the forest, which even today should continue to exist. Anyway, obviously I cannot accept something like that as the answer. In the end, I have no other choice than accepting that each of them escaped from the village, using the legend of the forest to make it look like they were something supernatural. Okay, so we got abducted by a witch? I'm really confused. Interesting story. I don't know what such a story is hiding in our town. I say honestly surprised, even if it is a lie. It managed to hold my interest. Wait, there's something more, Alfred said at the same time as he scrolled to the comments. We read what was written there. A couple of comments call our attention. Both of them talk about some creature. At that time, they felt a horrible fear for what could happen to them. Well, the two comments shared great similarities, but they could have been written by the same person. There are many others that deny it. Looks like many people went to the forest because of the legend but couldn't find anything. I thought you only read these things to look more cool before the girls, replied Stephen as a joke. Alfred giggles with a little shame. Partially, yes. He admitted that it was a secret everybody silently knew. Well, now we have an activity for tonight, Stephen said at the same time he makes a face overflowing with enthusiasm. What? I asked, completely lost. I thought we were just killing time. Simple, let's go to the forest. That's a terrible idea, Stephen. Why would you even say that? Why would you even bring that up as a possibility of something fun to do? Okay, we just read a story about people going missing all the way back to 1707, and your first instinct is, let's go into the weird creepy woods and go look for the witches that curse the place. Yeah, that seems like a smart idea. Stephen replied without hesitation. He seemed really fascinated by the story. Are you insane? Said Alfred, unable to believe what he just heard. You only needed to look at his face to know he did not like the idea. Despite everything you've heard, you want to go? I'm with Alfred here, okay? Let's not go into the woods. Let's stay out of the woods. Of course, it would be a test of our courage amongst us three, replied Stephen, full of confidence. Perhaps too much. He should relax a bit. Don't tell me you're afraid. No, why should I be afraid? Answered Alfred at the same time. He folded his arms, making a false gesture of security. It's more than obvious that you are afraid, Alfred. Almost as much as when you have to talk with a girl. And what about you, Axel? Don't tell me you won't come. Suddenly Stephen asked me, at the same time looking at me mockingly. Don't tell me you want to be the chicken of the group. I hate the tone of voice he used. I will never give you that, I said without thinking, showing a confident smile and a look. Well, let's say no more. Take your coat, backpack, flashlight and some food. We're going to the forest, Stephen said, full of energy. Yeah! We three said in unison as we were going to have some kind of private party, not really knowing what we were doing or what we were going to find. This is a terrible idea. Just so everyone's aware, you never go into the haunted woods, ever, okay? That's like the #1 rule about haunted woods is you never go in them, especially at night, and especially on Halloween. Never. Alright, so it's now 2:13 AM. I awake completely confused, not knowing how much time had passed. My head hurts like hell, but I can't blame it. Fortunately, the pain goes away quickly, just as my confusion. Soon, I come back to my senses. My flashlight is lying on the ground, shining towards the empty air. I immediately pick it up. It was my only protection against the darkness that surrounded me. Then I remembered that Stephen and Alfred were with me. Stephen! Alfred! Can you hear me? Without thinking, I screamed their names in the darkness, while trying to find them with my flashlight, but there is no trace of them. They are gone. Where the hell are they? And what the heck just happened? I really don't understand anything. Shit, we should have stayed at home. This is not a proof of courage. We could be in danger. I'd have to find them. See, again, shouldn't have gone into the woods. Gonna blame Stephen on this one. He got himself kidnapped or murdered or witch food. It's all on Stephen. We don't like Stephen. Alfred seems alright though. Little time had passed since I started to look for my friends, and I already can't stand this place. I'm going crazy in this forest. The darkness that covers it is unnatural. It's the darkness that steals your own sanity, replacing it with anxiety. To make it worse, the air is damp and cold, as in winter, carrying a strong rot smell. As if there was a corpse of animals hidden throughout the forest. The atmosphere in this place is oppressive. With every step you take, it makes you more uncomfortable. Since I started to look for my friends, I felt that something is watching me, but there is nothing. I sigh with my voice full of frustration. I just want to get out of here. I continue walking, devoid of any hope. No matter where I look or how much I walk, I find nothing. I can't even hear the sounds of animals. Rather, it seems they're already dead and rotting. No, I have to calm myself, I said to myself. I stopped for a moment to rest. I breathed deeply, but the rotting air of this place does me no good. Immediately I start to cough, as if I had something stuck in my throat. Shit! What am I going to do? This cursed forest seems endless, and even if by miracle I could escape, I cannot abandon Stephen and Alfred. I'm really screwed up. Again I sigh, feeling the verge of tears. My frustration is building up, but I have to do my best to keep calm. If I fall into despair, then there is no doubt I will be joining the list of missing persons. In the end, I decided to keep walking. Step by step, I should get somewhere. At least, I was convinced that staying in the same place would not do me any good. Even if it was only to deceive myself, feeling that I'm doing something, I wanted to continue walking. Time passed without any changes. Only the sound of my footsteps can be heard. Knowing that as soon as you stop, you'll be surrounded by dead silence is a good incentive to keep walking. But my legs were already hurting. Suddenly, I hear a crack at my feet. I instantly take a step back and look down to see what had made the sound. What is this? I whispered to myself, surprised discovering that I had stepped on an animal bone. I believe that it's from an animal, although I do not rule out the possibility that it belongs to a person. For my own good, I prefer not to think about that. An expression of anguish is drawn on my face. It is best to ignore it. I have to keep walking. Suddenly, my flashlight reveals something. Without hesitation, I point towards there again. Oh, it's a dead kitty. Only to realize that the surprise is the white cat. The one from before, which made that awful meow, but this time I find it lying on the ground. It appears to have fainted and is wounded. What should I do? Okay, so this is the cat that made the big noise that made us faint. But at the same time, it is a poor, sick, injured cat. And I mean, if we're nice to it, maybe when it does turn into a witch, it won't kill us. It is best to continue without waking her. The cat is dangerous. It's her fault that I ended up in this place and my friends are missing. But even knowing that, for some strange reason, I can't help but feel sorry for her. Even if it is unnatural, it's still an animal. I then bend down to see her closer. She is unconscious and there is a thin line of blood coming from her mouth. I'm a real idiot, I said to myself at the same time as I cleaned the blood from her mouth with the handkerchief that I had with me. Fortunately, she doesn't wake up. Of course not, she's knocked out. Just because you move her isn't going to refire up her brain. I then close her mouth, making her appearance a little better. And now she seemed to be peacefully sleeping. I don't trust the cat, but I mean, I'd prefer the cat to be on our side because the cat seems like it's going to be a major plot point. After a long sigh, I decided to pick her up carefully. I don't know what the power of this cat are, but if she brought me here, maybe she can return me to my world. With her in my arms, I decided that the best thing I can do is to continue walking. some really bad translations as this is going on. It started out pretty okay, but there's a lot of like they've added an extra letter, or they just missed a word, or just like a bad translation. But it's okay, it's fine. We're sort of working around it. So it's 2:31 a.m. now, about an hour since we checked our watch to started. Again, I find myself in the dark forest, walking aimlessly, only moving forward, but it didn't seem I was getting somewhere. In my arms I carried a cat which sleeps soundly. Come here. Here, you'll be safe. I suddenly stop. It was probably easy to see the disbelief in my face at that moment. It's that voice again, I whimpered to myself, with no one listening to me. Shortly after I found the cat, a mysterious voice appeared in my mind. It is a feminine voice, soft and gentle, as if it belonged to a princess from a fairy tale. But I couldn't trust it, so I probably shouldn't have done it in like a deep guy voice like I did. Alright. Am I really going crazy? Or is it the forest that doesn't seem to make any sense? I don't know, but I don't like any of the two options. I then feel the cat move in my arms. I look down at her confused, just as she opens her red eyes suddenly. Oh, I get a bad feeling about this. Don't attack us. Please don't rip our eyes out, cat. I became quiet at that instant. For a moment, the two stayed motionless, staring into the eyes of the other. The red eyes of the cat, disturbing to me, but also there is something fascinating about them, something that attracts me. This isn't going to be like some weird sex thing, is it? He's not going to like, it's not going to be like a banging the cat thing? I hope not. I lose myself in her eyes as if hypnotized. It sounded like it's going to be some weird sex thing. Until suddenly she jumps with the intention of scratching my face. Knew we shouldn't have fucking picked the cat up. Yep. My reflex is pushing her at the same time I jump back, turning my head to dodge her claws. I managed to dodge her attack, but in the process, I dropped my flashlight. I panicked and acted clumsily. The flashlight falls near me, lighting up a tree in the vicinity. As soon as it left my hands, I remember how dense this abnormal darkness is. I quickly pick it up, not even thinking before taking action. I then light up the place where the cat was, only to discover she had arched her back angrily, as if she feared an attack from me. The red eyes stared at me, shining with the light of the flashlight as if they were jewels, reflecting a fearsome hatred and rejection towards me. My body freezes after seeing them. I can't even think. The cat then lets out a horrendous meow, similar to the one, but weaker. Although not any less frightening. There is no doubt there is something wrong with that animal. It must be cursed. Everything is her fault. She must be some kind of evil spirit, a pet of the witches. Called it. She's going to be a witch. Calling it right now. The cat is going to be the witch. She would have cursed it, and it's going to be, haha, you may kill me, but I will haunt the evil woods as a cat. And then she came back as a cat or something. I feel how panic seizes me. My heart beats quickly, begging me to do something. My mouth is dry, my forehead covered with cold sweat. What should I do? I mean, we probably should confront the cat, for the sheer fact that it's a cat and we're a person. But at the same time, you know, getting away from the cat wouldn't be a bad idea if this is like a cursed cat. So we're going to escape from the cat, I think. Just because, you know, the cats are angry, and if a cat's angry at you, just leave it alone, alright? They are evil, like, balls of fluff from Satan. They're pretty much Satan's, like, personal death machine when they're angry. When they're not angry, they're like, you know, God's beautiful fluff machine. But when they're evil, they're Satan's death machine. And this one's pretty evil. Well, angry, sorry. So we're going to escape the cat. It is best for me to escape from this cursed cat. I made a mistake by bringing her with me. That cat only brings problems. I don't feel very sure about that voice, but perhaps it can guide me to the exit. It sounds kind, and I certainly don't want to stay with this animal. With that in mind, I try to move forward, but the cat blocks my path. No matter how hard I try, she moves faster than me, showing me her claws and fangs furiously as if preparing to attack me. My instinct tells me that it would be better to not... My instincts tell me that it would be better to not go one step further. I don't know what she can do, but the cat is dangerous. I mean, she can't do much. She's a cat. She'll claw you with her claws. It's really about all there is. Suddenly the cat begins to meow, thunderously, almost making me deaf. My heart skips a beat with each of them, as if I were hearing the wild beasts roar furiously. My breathing becomes agitated. Those meows are wrecking my nerves. I have no other way out. I don't care about the voice anymore. All I want is to lose that cat from sight. So not wasting a second more, I start to run in the opposite direction, begging she was not following me. I run through the forest, not looking back, forgetting about everything except my desire to get away from her. I have no idea where I'm going, or how long it's been since I started to run, but I don't care. My lungs burn and my heart beats anxiously, begging me for a rest, but I cannot give myself that luxury. Stronger than the pleas of the rest from my body are the pleas from the rest of my body are the pleas from my soul, crying, terrified, asking me to continue running until I can't anymore. Sometimes I hear the strange voice again, sounding in my head, but whenever it happens, the echoes of the cat's meows are heard throughout the forest, freezing my blood again and reminding me that I cannot stop. I feel sorry for the voice, but I can't answer your call. I am so desperate that more than 3 times I've fallen flat to the ground, and many more times hurt with the branches of trees. But the pain doesn't stop me. I'll keep running until my legs can't go one single step further. Alright, so it's now like 2 hours since we started running. Sun should be coming up soon though, so if we can run for like another hour, we should be fine. I don't know for how long I've been running, but for some minutes I haven't heard any of them, neither the voice nor the meows. Much to my relief, finally I stop resting my hands on my knees and feeling at the verge of fainting. I breathe using my mouth, trying to fill my lungs with as much air as I can. While my legs hurt as if they had been hammered mercilessly, but this pain does not bother me because I finally feel safe. Suddenly I look up to find that something fills me with joy. I see the exit of the forest. I did it. I escaped this demonic forest. I didn't become another victim of the disappearances. Just thinking about it almost brings tears to my eyes. Axel! Axel! Suddenly, I hear someone calling my name, but it isn't any stranger's voice. It's the voices of my friends who are looking for me. Hey, over here! I shout out without hesitation, with a bit of difficulty because of my shortness of breath. Soon they found me and impatiently ran towards me. Where were you? The worry was killing us, Stephen said with a face that I don't remember having ever seen before. Before answering, I take deep breaths. Inside the forest, I couldn't find the exit. That's strange. Alfred, after that hit us, we both woke up out of the woods. We thought you'd be close, but we couldn't find you anywhere, explained Alfred, who also looked at me with a great relief on his face. And you didn't try to find me in the forest? I said, feeling a little annoyed because they didn't go to save me as great friends. Instantly, both Stephen and Alfred shake their heads in denial. I didn't want to go back in there, Alfred said, almost eating nails from imagining it. Me neither. After seeing the demonic cat? No. Also, we had hopes that you would be outside just as we were. I sigh after hearing them, but soon I forgot my annoyances. Well, I really can't blame you. The most important thing is that we're all safe. Yes, but that was somewhat terrifying, confessed Stephen with a pale face. After that roar, I didn't know what we were going to become of us. I was about to tell them about all that I had gone through, but just before saying a word, I changed my mind. They didn't need to know. The important thing is that we escaped and nobody got hurt. Well, I think we've had enough of this test of courage. We should better get back home. See, that right there is perfect. We should better get back home. We should or we better get back home, not we should better. That's a broken English thing there. We should better get back home. I said, looking horribly tired. Without hesitation, both of them respond with a nod. After that, everyone starts to walk back home without looking back. Despite everything, I have to say that our main goal was fulfilled. We had a memorable night. The legend is true. Now I know it. Finn. Ah. Alright. So I guess that was the end of it. I guess that was Trick and Treat. Awesome. That was despite the few broken English bits, and like that last bit there was a good example of it, or just like words that is wrong. I think that was nice. Again, gameplay doesn't really matter. It was more, I wanted to see how nice I can make this microphone sound after tweaking it and playing around and you know, just finagling things.